afternoon. She's not working at Google anymore. She left Google. She left Google to found Miss AI. I'll tell you about that. But first of all, how many people know what is artificial intelligence? So interesting, quite a few people. All right. Well, we are living in a world today in which there are three approaches to artificial intelligence globally, and you can easily equate them to the regions of their origins. We have artificial intelligence for profit, artificial intelligence for society, and artificial intelligence for control. Guess who is who? In the 50s, Charles de Gaulle in France realized that if he wanted to have France participate fully into the developments of the new world between the superpowers of the US and the Soviet Union, he understood that France had to create their own nuclear force. That was in the 50s. Today, artificial intelligence is having an equally important stance. It will basically generate a lot of change in our society, and it will create a new fate for nations and people. Now, if you look at the developments, basically, you see Alan Turing, who was telling us many years ago, this is not new, that we have a lot to do in this space. And you see, I am an optimist. And my title as Miss AI is Chief Enthusiasm Officer. I did spend 20 years at Microsoft and Google working on artificial intelligence since its inception at these companies. And now I am also a realist because of that. And I know that our future is bright, and I want you to embrace your bright future as well. But what does that mean for our society? What does artificial intelligence mean? It is very polarizing. There are many, many definitions, from machine learning to complex neural networks to deep learning to a very, very bright and big field of academic research. Even the deep tech specialists cannot agree on one single definition. Engineers do not use the term artificial intelligence. They use the term intelligent systems, for example. There are many, many different definitions. So, in fact, you can use, or we can use, our human senses to see, hear, and feel what artificial intelligence is. This is how it looks like. This is artificial intelligence. It's a piece of code. It is mathematics. With just 5 lines of code, today you can create a meaningful algorithm. A complex military drone has 3 million lines of code, which is actually 3 times more than you find in bacteria, which means humans have created technologies that are now more complex than life itself. I want you to close your eyes now, please. Close your eyes for a moment. I'm watching you. Close your eyes, please, for a moment and listen. Thank you. This was a computer-generated jazz improvisation. There was no human doing this. This was a computer. For the untrained ear, it was good enough. We can accept it, right? For the trained ear, if you're a musician, you probably realized this is computer and not human. The reality is that artificial intelligence will get to a point where we will not be able to see anymore what's the difference between human-made and generated by an algorithm, right? Now, the complexity here is that a lot of companies are looking into this space. There was a company in London a couple of months ago who looked at 3,000 artificial intelligence startups and companies across Europe and found out that 40% of them do not use any machine learning. So they claim to be AI, but they're not AI. I like to use a definition of AI that might put a smile on your face. I like to call artificial intelligence like teenage sex. A lot of people talk about it. Not everybody knows how to do it. Everybody claims the other person is doing it, so they claim they do it too. So the space is really quite complex and a little bit crazy these days. A couple of companies, because I love to promote companies that do artificial intelligence in Europe. To give you just an example, there is a company in France that is called Deep Bach. They are using deep learning to create chorales in the style of Bach. Go on YouTube and search for Deep Bach and see if you can distinguish what is Deep Bach and what is Bach, really. So basically, the human aspect here is becoming more and more integrated into the systems. Another company in Munich is called Tawny, and they are creating emotional AI. They are combining complex data with biometrics data as well, and help you understand your state of emotion. That leads to a creation of better products and services for people. So Europe is really in a stage right now between the US and China where we have to really take the lead and collaborate all together and co-create to ensure that Europe has the leadership position that it always had. Those of you that know who created the World Wide Web and when. The World Wide Web was created in CERN by Geneva, by Tim Berners-Lee in 1889, the first browser in 1990. It was Europe who brought up the internet. Who created the first driverless car? It was called Prometheus, and it was a project with Mercedes at the Bundesuniversität München, and it was created in 1995. Prometheus was driving 180 kilometers an hour on Deutsche Autobahns in 1995. Look at the airplanes. They are autonomous vehicles. And there are so many female pilots today that are doing a fantastic job of keeping that amazing machine in the air. But also look at who created deep learning. Deep learning was created by Yann LeCun in France. So all these elements of AI made in Europe are very important to my heart, and I founded Miss AI to basically help two elements, because I think we need to have three, in all of our enthusiasm and optimism, we need to have three concerns right now in this space. One is diversity and demographics, making sure we represent in our products the whole society, not just a part of it. The second one is privacy, what happens with our data. And the third one is jobs, what happens to the jobs in the future. All of these spaces, there is a lot of conversation, and there will continue to be a lot of conversation. So please get yourselves involved and aware, because that is your future. That is our future. So at Miss AI, we're trying to solve these two issues. One is to really bring AI and help Europe be competitive, and the other one is to help women make a fantastic living in this space, as the world will change pretty significantly in how jobs will be created, how jobs will be shaped, what kind of skills we need, and we've heard some of that in the previous talks. And so it is important for us, and what I want to do is to enable 10 million women in Europe in the next 5 years to understand, use, and really have a bright future for themselves in this space, because it is a space that will touch every single one of us. And finally, let's take a look at how artificial intelligence feels like. Sorry, this one. How many of you know who this guy is? Who is this guy, right? Okay, so this is Peppa. Peppa is a cute robot that is basically doing cute, nice things, and you can talk to him, and just has a computer, and it's quite basic, right? So many people feel artificial intelligence are more like Peppa, but also more people feel more like this one. How many people here, raise your hand if you feel artificial intelligence is kind of scary, it will destroy jobs, we don't know about our future. How many people feel more like scary about that? A couple of people, a bit more. And Peppa, so these are the two utopian and dystopian views. in this space. And as I said, I truly believe it's just math. So please take that away from this one. It's just math. It is in our hand, and we shape it. It's not machines that are shaping us. It's we are shaping the machines. And we have the opportunity to create a lot of excellent applications that is more in this space. Of course, there will be also negative applications that will be on the dystopian side. But in general, the world, how we create it, belongs to humans. Where is Europe in all this? You may hear a lot of the ethics, right? So there is a lot of conversation around ethics and artificial intelligence. The European Union is working on something that just published now that is called Trustworthy AI. People want products that they can trust. People want to know what happens with their data. We want to know, how can I use the product to my benefit? And that is where Europe can actually create the AI for society that incorporates a strong view on ethical principles. And there are also many, many organizations and discussions and academic research. If you go to Geneva, for example, there is a big conference called AI for Good, where they basically talk a lot in between the UN and UNESCO and the European Union. And now even China is looking into ethics, which is kind of funny because China and ethics is, for me, a little bit of an oxymoron, right? So we just did a research at Miss AI. We basically are a team of about 60 to 70 highly distinguished people that work with AI every day. For us, it's really important to have a very broad representation, a very multi-diverse cross-pollination of ideas. So we have professors, academics, we have business people, entrepreneurs, startups, but we also have anthropologists, psychologists, sociologists, doctors, and artists working with AI. And all these people together, we looked at what are the elements of making AI and our lives successful. And we came up with 5 elements. You can also read them on the manifesto we wrote. You find it on our website in more detail. But there are 5 elements. One is optimism, especially in Germany. Please be optimistic. There are countries that are not, and there are countries that are too optimistic. We tend to be more on the dystopian side in Germany. When I go to Eastern Europe or the US, everybody's positive. Everybody wants to shape and create. Please be optimistic about our future. Go and embrace. Talk about the achievements and talk about the results, not the process, how we get there, and the angst, but really the results. And the second one is courage, the courage to take risk. Go out there and ask yourselves and ask your people around you, how do you want to shape the world today? Today, because we're living in the now. How do you want to shape the world of AI? Every one of you that are students can do something in this space, and you can shape the world of today. And the third element is ambition. We have to show Europe has unique selling propositions, unique capabilities, a bit like the ones that I showed you earlier. And that is what we need, a lot of ambition to say we can do this and we have a bright past and we can have a bright future as well. So please take that ambition with you also in your professional life as you getting ready, some of you, for your next steps in your career or just getting a job. It is really important to look at what can you achieve and be ambitious in a good sense, of course. And then trust. We need to educate every single person in the society. What is artificial intelligence? What are the benefits? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? We need to have this balanced view, and also we have to build that trust. The only way to build trust is really through education. And speed, for me, is the most important one, because we need to do it now. That's the time to do it, not tomorrow, it is now. Do it thoughtfully. It's not just racing against something, it's really doing it now. And so these are the 3 requirements, basically, for a successful life in the new era. And there are 3 aspects. One is people. It's very important to have people at the center. One is mindset and one is money. What do we mean with that? So with people, we mean we want to create 1 million AI jobs in Europe in the next 5 years. We also want to raise the number of women from below 1% to 5%. Why? Because that's how we create products that are reflective of the whole society and not just of half of it. At Miss AI, we want to reach 10 million women in the next 5 years to enable them to understand what AI is. And we want to keep our talent here. Please stay in Europe. Don't emigrate. Don't go to China for a big salary. It's possible. Don't go to the US for a big salary. It's possible. Create your big salary here. You can create your own salary. You can ask the companies to be part of a good world where you're not just working for money, of course, but you're working for the values that represent Europe. And I think that's great if we could keep our talent, because the problem we have is that a lot of our talent ends up in the US, obviously. And now a new development is that China is also trying to get a lot of us. So that means Europe will not be competitive. Mindset, as we said, love risk and see AI as an opportunity. That's important to change that mindset. We need to change mindset in the CEO at the company all the way to everyone on the street to embrace the opportunities. We need to create these diverse communities. And I have to say big kudos and applause for Janina and Marie-Charlotte for doing this, because the way you do this conference, where you invite startups and entrepreneurs and students and academia, putting all these elements together is what will bring the success. And then we need money. So we need a lot more money, the rich people in Europe to invest in European startups. We need the government to regulate in a smart way. And we want to have 25% of the global unicorns. Yeah, so these are companies valued at $1 billion or more. We only have a few, so for example, Zalando or Spotify. But the valuation of unicorns in Europe is tiny, so we want to increase that from 11% now to 25%. And we want to create, and that's the promise the politics is doing, pan-European research centers where people like you can research and really have an amazing intellectual challenge there. Why is diversity so important? Because AI is not really about AI. AI is about us, is about humans, is about enhancing, making our life more efficiently. Those of you who are using MyTaxi, Booking.com, any of the applications you have on your phone, all of that is artificial intelligence. If you're using Google Assistant, Siri, Alexa, that is artificial intelligence. In general, that is increasing our efficiency and productivity. So that's why I'm optimistic, because I can use this technology to have a better life. And it's about innovation and diversity. So that's why we need all the brains, all the disciplines to co-create. For the first time ever in the history of humanity, we have this globalization that people can go everywhere they want, research and work together, and basically get together. And that is huge, and you guys are the beneficiaries, right, of an amazing future. So I'm sure you'll make the best out of it. And it's also about leveraging our European cultural heritage. So I sound a little bit like Mr. Trump right now if I say Europe first, AI first, but please let's make Europe great in AI together. Even if it sounds like Trump, there is something about that. And if we make Europe great in AI, we will be leaders and we will have a fantastic life. And I want to leave you with this quote from Mahatma Gandhi. It will be the most important element of the future. Create diversity. Start today. Thank you.